Welcome to DNA's Birding Adventures. This is part 1 of 3 days in the Grand Teton National Park and Yellowstone National Park. We're in search of quite a few different life birds, including the great gray owl, and we need the trumpeter swan this year and a few others. So we started out our journey heading north, stayed in the Wind River Reservation, and then spent the day basically at Grand Teton and then up to Yellowstone. We covered some new road this time, and it's our first time at both of these parks, so we're really excited to see what we can find. And here we go. We hit the Tawaki Overlook at the perfect time. The sun was just coming up. There's a Clark's nutcracker in that tree right there. We also heard a pine grosbeak and a purple finch, but only got a picture of this one.
Only one's in the parking lot.
We love to see the ALPENGLOW on our own mountains, but we're really excited about seeing them in the Tetons and that earth shadow that you could see really well from the top of the pass.
You can see the shadow of the earth right over the Tetons. The ALPENGLOW's going to start. There it is at the top of that one. Oh my gosh!
This is a progression of photos that Dave took of the ALPENGLOW starting. It was just phenomenal. We were in awe for about an hour, and we figured, if we don't see anything else, we're satisfied and we can go home right now. Anyway, nope, we headed down into the valley and into the park, and then the fog came in, so it was another spectacular view. There were still a few fall leaves on some of the trees, so it was quite spectacular. This is our first time to Grand Teton National Park, and it definitely won't be our last. We're only able to spend just the one day here, so we just drove around and stopped at a couple spots and then headed north to Yellowstone National Park. It's only 20 miles between the two parks. Yellowstone is known for its wildlife, and they should add bears to this list of animals that might be crossing the road. You'll see why later. The only animal we didn't see on this list was the moose. It's the fall rut, and this bull elk was trying to move around his harem and making lots of noise while he was doing it.
We just saw an elk, and there's a whole bunch of bison in the fog.
John and Margaret Cunningham built this back in 1888, one of the 400 claims to the Jackson Hole area, and he had a profitable ranch until a drought struck. Needs a little work, but I could definitely live here, and what a view. I think this little chipmunk has the right idea. Actually, I drove by this area once when I was a kid. I don't remember it other than the jutting mountains, and wow, are they spectacular. It's the Teton Fault, where the Teton floor or valley is sinking, and the Teton Mountains are raising up. Ironically, the rocks or the core are 2.7 billion years old, whereas the mountain range rank among the youngest in the world.
Frosty. You can hear the bull elk bugling.
It was quite cold, maybe 28, 29 degrees, and I think the fog caused all this frost in the valley, and then it lifted when we were there. Landing?
Yeah.
This was one of the most picturesque places that we saw along the road. I'm so glad we stopped, and the reflections were just phenomenal. Plus, a few lucky birds happen to live here.
Some ducks. Mountain chickadee in the background.
This area had some beautiful trails, and there were mostly mallards, black-capped chickadees, and mountain chickadees, plus a few Canada jays and Clark's nutcrackers as usual. But the reflections, wow.
Oh, there's a duck.
One of our goals was to see an otter on our trip, and we didn't
There's a beaver
hear,
pond up in there.
but we did see a lot of beaver dens. No beavers though.
That's all right.
There's a great guys taking
It's a raven sitting on top of that tree with the Tetons in the background.
On our trip, there were common ravens everywhere, and this guy was sitting with an uncommon view in the background. This is where Ansel Adams, the black and white photographer took the iconic photo of Teton Mountain with the Snake River in the foreground. And it doesn't look quite the same now because the trees have grown in front, but we tried to take the same picture.
That's the Snake River. This is the Jenny Lake Trail. It's all paved, but look at the views up here. It's just beautiful. It's kind of like our Bear Lake Trail at Rocky Mountain National Park. Very popular. Oh my gosh. Jenny Lake.
This is the last of the glacier. This glacier is what carved out Jenny Lake. We were heading to Jackson Lake, and lo and behold, there was a ruffed grouse on the road. Dave said he almost hit it. So we got a few pictures really quick, and then we're counting it as a life bird. How exciting. The same thing happened in Rocky Mountain National Park a couple weeks ago. I had a dusky grouse go right across the road in front of me. We were pretty excited. Not a great picture though. Our next stop, Jackson Lake Dam and Reservoir, and we spotted a new bird for the year.
We just saw a trumpeter swan. There's a common loon over there. And we were driving down the road to the Jackson Dam here and saw, we think, a ruffed grouse. So that'll be a life bird for us. There's the dam.
There was just a lone common loon that was diving for fish, and we were happy to have it. We already have it this year, but it was quite a sight to watch.
There's like a bird blind up here. From Jackson Lake. Nothing's in the... Oh, there's a duck over there.
We heard the belted kingfisher before we saw him, and then he flew across a couple times. As we were heading north out of the park, we had a few other surprises, including this red-tailed hawk soaring over, and then this. This is a first for Dave and me both. We've never seen a grizzly bear before, and at the north end of the park. Here we go.
There's a grizzly bear and an elk.
It was just trying to stock up for the winter. It was just rooting around, trying to find some roots and bugs, and didn't really bother us, or we didn't bother them, I guess. Periodically, it would just look up to make sure that he still had some spectators, and then went right back to his business. He or she was at a fair distance from us, so I wasn't too concerned. We do have bear spray, but I really don't think that would be a good deterrent. Anyway, We're heading to Yellowstone. Just saw a grizzly bear. First ever. Heading to Yellowstone. Here's our Teton National Park list, including a life bird and a few new ones for the year. The great horned owl was at our motel that we spent the night at last night. He was hooting all night. We'll see what kind of birds we can find in Yellowstone. Moose Falls was right at the south entrance to Yellowstone National Park, and it was a beauty.
We just got into Yellowstone. This is Moose Falls. Wow. Ooh. Any moose?
Yellowstone Lake was huge. We had no idea how big the park was and how far it was to get from point A to point B. And the water lets out into the Yellowstone River, and we found a lot of birds along the river there.
There's some ruddy ducks, mallards, Canada geese. I'm looking for the harlequin duck. It's going to be up in the rapids maybe.
We first thought these were redheads, and nope, they were greater scops. Bird number 317 for the year.
There's a Canada jay right up in there.
There were so many Clark's nutcrackers and Canada jays at the park, and it was really hard to take a picture of the Clark's nutcracker. Hardy Rapids is known for the harlequin ducks. Those are the ducks that summer here. This is one of the few spots they summer and nest, and then they go back to California. They're ocean birds, and they left a couple weeks ago, but we'll see.
We're at Hardy Rapids, and there's a great little boardwalk trail, and we've seen, I don't know, there's a American dippers everywhere. There's probably like 10 of them, maybe 12. There's a common merganser just fishing away up and down the rapids. It's amazing to watch. It's out in the sun.
We spotted a bird that was a little bit different sitting on a rock. And sure enough, it was a new bird for us. The harlequin. There was one left over, probably an immature or female who was probably left behind. Hardy Rapids is a great spot for bird watching, and there's a nice little boardwalk that runs along the river, and the birds are just great to watch. They're diving in and out and swimming up and down.
There he is. Empty parking lot. Woohoo!
There's so many common ravens in the park. They're just bold and boisterous and beautiful, actually. We went to Volcano National Park a couple years ago, and this Yellowstone is just phenomenal comparatively. I know Volcano National Park just erupted, but this one had all sorts of activity.
Steamboat. Ben. It's green.
stayed at a little motel, the Green Creek, that's in Wapiti, Wyoming, and it's 29 miles from the entrance to Yellowstone National Park. And the scenic byway was just worth it all together. It was just beautiful. We found a little restaurant that had a gorgeous view of the cliffs above, and we ate there a few times during our trip. I highly recommend it, Wapiti Lodge and Restaurant. We have a couple more days to explore the park, and we're looking for the great gray owl. So until part 2, thank you so much for watching, and happy trails to you.